Good evening, everybody. Just waiting for you all to join. TGM London, good evening. What are you up to tonight? Let's wave at you. Bop. Trevson Arts, hello, and Ivar Miniatures. Good evening, everybody. Yes, I am sideways. I figure it's a very good way to do these things. Townley Street, hello. Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm sat here with a guitar and not a paintbrush. I assume everybody here is expecting me to be wielding a paintbrush. But given that I've never seen you guys before, I figure I'd best explain what this is all about. So, basically, I sit here waffling on about painting or whatever else until a particular subject comes up, whether it be because of your questions or because it just comes up. It's generally hobby related, and every now and again I play guitar because that's what I like doing. Motivation came up last week, and I figured I'd put motivation on the board there. Yeah, it's all backwards, but that's because that's the way this stuff works, so there you go. But yeah, like, motivation is a topic mentioned a lot by people in this hobby, but rarely is it actually dealt with, so I figured I'd talk about some of the different aspects of the things that kept me hungry, you know, hungry for more, you know, and still does keep me hungry for more. So yeah, so what are you guys up to tonight before we all begin? Explosivo, there's a regular name. Hello. Jack the Great, that's a great name, I like it. Keep it up. So yeah, who else have we got? Jamie the Salmon. Oh, that's a fishy name if ever I've heard it. Yeah, I am full of jokes like that as well for those that are newcomers to this little business here. So yeah, there we go. For you guys that decide to hang around for such things, then that's what I'm talking about. And for those that decide it's not for them, have a great evening. Have a great evening. So we'll see who turns up, and then, in fact, in the meantime, tell me what's going on in your hobby world. What have we got going on? You've tried the DL non-met challenge, messed up big time, repainting the leg tomorrow. Yes! Do you know what? Tell me how you messed up. Or, even better, do you have a picture of it? And post it. Because messing up big time contains lots and lots and lots of lessons. Alright? Lessons that not just you can learn on, but everyone can learn from. Whether it be going too light, going too dark, going too scruffy, going too neat, can happen. Blah 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 blah. On and on and on and on. Alright, so I get that there's times to repaint or start again or strip a model or blah 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 or give up. However, a lot of the times when I look at people's work out in the world at large, outside of TV land, a lot of these things are small fixes, but dressed up in people's minds as big problems. So what if you had kept a picture of your mess up, if you will, and you've got whatever point of view on it, and I go, actually, what you've got there is something that's just unfinished as opposed to messed up and just needs some adjustments, because all painting is about adjustment. You know, it's rare you'll get a job that actually I'm going to nail this first time. Now you're going to need adjustment, whether it be adjustment on the palette, you know, with setting up your brushes, setting up your consistencies, or whether it be adjustment on the model, like, oh, I didn't do that coat of paint thick enough, or thin enough, or neat enough, or straight enough, or long enough, or blah 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 blah. Does that make sense? Right, so let's have a look at what you've said. The XV88 glazes were too muddy. You guess. Guess. Interesting word to use. You guess. So lots of tide marks. Well, tide marks aren't a problem. They're just something to cover up. Okay. So here's the next question then for you. Why are you getting loads of tide marks, do you think? Now, don't guess. Don't guess. Guessing is just like going, glue. Is it glue? No, like really look at what you're doing and what you think you've done, and go, actually, tide marks are caused by these reasons, and I cause them reasons to exist because. Don't guess. Yeah. Yeah. Either like I'm glad you say. In fact, just to clarify, when people watch this later on, if I upload it to YouTube or whatever else, they won't see these comments scrolling by. So it's like me waffling on, but basically Ivor says, fair enough, I feel you. And that's the right answer, you know, because how we feel about our painting actually is what helps us take the next steps. For if you feel you've messed it up and it's unrescuable or blah blah blah, I need to repaint or whatever, then you'll create all them barriers in your head, and that'll be your fact, and that's just that. Whereas now if you say, all right, I feel you, you begin to see, I'm kind of removing a lot of them barriers for you, hopefully, or helping you see through them. Actually, there's a way we can work this out, you know, and now that's a valuable skill, the ability to change the way you feel because of the way you perceive what you're looking at, and off you go. You'll get better at painting, which strangely is precisely what I've written on the thing behind me there, is the ability to teach yourself through changing your perspective on the things you think you've done, and to see what you really have done and the opportunities available. Really interesting. I love this stuff. So yeah. Oh, that is an interesting. So tide marks. Tide, a word eternally linked with water, And you say you've got tide marks by not watering down enough. Have a think about that. So you're saying there's not enough water. So something's wrong there. Something's wrong. Tide marks. Something. A word. Eternally linked with water. Tide. And you say you've not used enough water. Yeah, so either maybe you're not sure what a tide mark is, or you're not really sure what your mistake is. So I'm really excited to see your results, actually. I'm really excited to see it. So I do plan it when everyone's like bits are in, or after a particular amount of time. I do plan on going through everyone's bits and bobs and asking them some more in-depth questions, and then hopefully helping people out that need it, and then learning from the people that inspire me, you know. And this is why we do it at every level. This is why we do this challenge, you know. And again, I'm going to say, for anyone out there that thinks or could never do that, it's not about doing it, it's about learning in the attempt of doing it. And you never know, you just might do it, you know. And there's only one way to find out, and that's get involved. You know, at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? You're painting toy soldiers. Do you know what I mean? You're painting toy soldiers, and in this instance you're painting less than a quarter of a toy soldier, merely one limb. Do you know what I mean? So nothing to lose. You think the glaze was too dark. Okay. So at what point, in fact, for the value step, if that makes sense? Okay. Yeah, that actually does make sense. So, how much of the model are you glazing? For example, I can't say I really used XV88 in my version as a glaze almost at all. It may have been involved in some mixes that might have been glazes, but the only really true glaze was yellow at the end. Now, XV88 in my mix was like a low mid-tone, alright, for what you described as the value step. Alright, it'd be a low mid-tone in the value step. So I would only be using it, let's say you've got all the way from dark and all the way to light, I would only be using it in these areas here anyway. And if I was using it as a glaze, I'd use it as a correction. Yeah. Now if you're using it as a glaze for the entire thing, then that would be a big question. Yeah, from me. Like, why? Evening Glyn, by the way. Evening Johnny. Evening Giuliano. Evening brother Captain Tom. Good evening, everybody. So yeah. So if you've messed up with XV88, you've got to investigate why you've made the decisions and what decisions you actually made on a factual basis. Not oh, I made a decision that messed up. That's not any kind of evaluation. You know, what don't you like in a factual way? How did you create what you didn't like in a factual way? And now will you prevent it next time? Dude, honestly, yeah, tag me, because that's what all this is about. Yeah, definitely post a picture and tag me, you know, and tag it non-met challenge, because think about it. How many great artists are there that have taken this challenge so far? There's quite a few, I think. And you're not just going to get my advice, you're going to get lots of advice. You know, some of it may be attainable, achievable, some of it might not be, some of it might inspire you, some of it you're just going to get a greater palette of ideas to inspire yourself with. Although at the same time it's easy to become overwhelmed. So yeah, so in fact with that, it says there, although it's backwards for you guys, motivation 3, teaching myself. So all this that I'm waffling on at you right now is actually my skill. I believe that the way I paint is secondary to the true skill I've got, and it's the ability to look at things and develop myself. And that's what I learned from a young age. And yeah, there was influences on me that helped me along the way. And I've had this conversation with a few painters of my generation. Back then, we didn't have the internet. This is an old man conversation now. Back then, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have videos. We didn't have guides. You know, you had roughly some colour guides in White Dwarf and blah, blah, blah. So, all the people of our generation, we all had to teach ourselves. So what kept us hungry? Because the information wasn't coming into us. So how did we get better if there was no information coming into us, which is what everybody has now. Everybody right now, there's so much information coming at you, bam, 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 you know, in the form of lessons, tutorials, well, that's pretty much it, innit? You know, hints and tips, opinions flying at you from every commenter on the forum, on forums and Facebook groups and Instagram pages, and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. I know this is slightly going to contradict what I've just said to you there, but the point is, it's about inspiring you and drawing something out of you. Because this is what kept us hungry back in the day, I believe. It's certainly what kept me hungry. It's constantly asking the question, how did they? And I would try all sorts of different things to figure it out. Yeah, figure it out, figure it out, figure it out. You know, your description of blending in some of the old painting guides is not a description of blending at all. And when you finally figure out what it is these guys did, you figure out it's just one of many, many, many ways of blending. You know, so all of a sudden I'll use the term I instead of we. I, as a painter of that generation, I needed to develop the skill of looking at myself and comparing the results I got to the results I was trying to achieve. In other words, did what I do match what I was trying to do in the pages of White Dwarf? If not, why not? You know, and I couldn't be all pissy about it, going, it doesn't work for me. No, I had to find ways to make things work for me. I had to develop myself. I had to develop my eye for the way the brush moved, for the way the paint moved, for the way the water moved within the paint or without the paint. See what I mean? And all these things, and I really had to develop my own abilities, not find what works for me, because you can make it all work for you. It's just, how are you going to do that? See what I mean? You know, so I mean, a good example is like David Soper paints like nobody else on the planet. That's completely different methods, you know, and he's one of the most experienced painters out there, you know, like Golden Demon way. I'm sorry, David, by the way. I don't want to make you seem old or anything. It's about as old as me, I suppose, aren't you? But yeah, so he's got vastly different ways of painting than I have. Why? It's because that he's found ways, and he's looked at himself and gone, right, these are all the ways that I can make work, and these are all the ways that I can make develop, and these are all the ways that I can avoid doing these things, and on and on and on. And he's drawn something out of himself that is particular to him, you know, and same with me. But the point is we've all got that skill of looking at ourselves. We didn't have all this, again, it wasn't. It's all this information available is all coming in you, and really looking for the things that you have to bring out of yourself, and that's ultimately what it is. You know, so the best thing I had as a painting lesson way back when was watching an heavy metal painter called Tim Prow paint. His name wasn't Tim Prow Paint, his name was Tim Prow, and he was painting. Right. And he didn't explain anything. He didn't explain a thing. I just sat and watched him. I was like, right, okay. I've got this. I can do this. I can remember. I can repeat. I can do this. It was all about I don't know what I'm saying here now. I'm getting a bit lost. But the point is I always look to myself to do it. I always look to myself to adapt. I always look to myself to for the answers. I said in last week's live stream thing, I practiced one brushstroke for 2 years. You know, I don't know even if that brushstroke was the brushstroke used by the person that inspired me. You know, but I practiced it anyway, and I practiced it for years, and I was not going to stop until I could do this thing. And I didn't even know what it was I was trying to achieve, you know. But I could do it. I could do it now, you know. Brilliant. So it was this idea of teaching myself and drawing this awareness of what I was and wasn't doing on that journey of teaching myself. That was the true skill. It was drawing it out of me. It was drawing the skill out of me, and I was using the painters around me, the heavy metal team. In fact, I was pretty much the only ones at the time. The heavy metal team working in all white dwarfs. So I've been doing this since the late 80s, by the way, just for clarity. Right, it's quite some time. Yeah, so they were my inspiration. There was no answers. Do you know what I mean? There was no answers. There was like rough ideas of answers. So yeah, there you go. Anyway, waffle. Who's in? Let's have a look who's in. Acrylomatic, hello, dude. Smelly Kelly, Captain Tom, Glyn, and Benny. Brilliant. Right, let's see what folk are saying. Ivor, I'm glad you're not devastated. Nice one, man. Glyn, word of mouth learning tricks of the trade. It's a good way. But ultimately, it comes down to you, doesn't it? Can you analyse yourself and about how accurately and properly you're applying the information that's coming your way? Now, do you know, I had this clear in my head earlier on, you know, and it's actually it's harder to describe, I'm finding, than I initially thought. So like, I might put some thoughts down on paper actually and read it out, because there was little information. So in fact, I think that's the great way of putting it. Is back then there was little information. We had to rely on ourselves, and that was just how it was. It was just how it was, you know. Whereas right now, no one's in a position of being forced to do those things. They think it's always about input, and it's not. It's about what's inside. You know, what properties are you developing inside? Are you tenacious enough? Are you observant enough? Are you imaginative enough? Are you I think that's pretty much it, really, isn't it? You know, developing them mental faculties. Yeah, imagination, observation or awareness, application, And with application, you need imagination, willpower, perseverance, so tenacity, like I said. Perception, another one, like I said earlier on. Perception, if you think it's all going wrong, you'll probably give up. If you think, actually, there's some things I need to adjust here instead, then you'll probably carry on. See what I mean? So the faculties of the mind. Imagination. Here I go again. I can't remember them. Imagination, memory. There we go. There's another one. Imagination, memory, perception, awareness, will. All useful, man, and all to be developed. Whereas if instead you listen to if you get however many guides and you think just having those guides is enough and being told recipes is enough, you're going to find that without that one ingredient of looking at yourself and developing yourself to assimilate that information, you're going to be pretty lost pretty quick, you know. And I think that's what separates painters. It's not necessarily the amount of information. It's about how much you've developed yourself. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. Right, who's saying what? Your own worst enemy would be in critically painting. Well, the question is then, Glyn, is, are you really being critical? You know, I've said a bunch of times, and other people have said, the word criticism has a bunch of stigma attached to it, a bunch of bullshit, you know, and I like the term assessment. You know, yeah, these things are like and dislike, but if your assessment ends with like and dislike, you've just screwed yourself and your project. You know. Rod's Mods, hello. Who's still in? There's only 3 folk in. Right, okay. Is this your first time, Ivor, by the way? Oh, yes. Yeah, but I think... So you said critical analysis, but do you need the word critical at all? It's like a moot word. It's just a nothing word now, I think. It's almost like complaint, or in that instance, critical analysis. It's almost like desperate analysis. It's almost like urgent analysis. Do you know what I mean? It carries more emotion, and it's not what you want in an analysis. I don't know if you agree or not. I mean, maybe there's a time for emotional analysis, but I'm not sure, you know. Not sure. So yeah, it's just an analysis. What are the facts? What are the facts? Oh, I don't like that. Why don't you like it? Oh, I messed up on that bit. Alright. In what way did you mess up? Oh, it all went fudgy. What do you mean by fudgy? You know, it's all like, ugh. See what I mean? There's nothing to work with there. Nothing to work with. So, instead, from all those words, I would ascertain, like the painter I'm chatting to that says all these things, like, and fudgy, and I don't quite like it, and I think that person's putting paint on too thick and it's not watered down enough. And I'd ask that person, is that what you think you mean? and we'll then listen to his answers and off we go. So in that instance, this is me as a teacher not losing patience with my student. Yeah, I'm assessing him. He doesn't have the vocabulary to communicate what he's seeing on the model and why he doesn't like it. Yeah, so I'm going to ask him questions to assess him, and then start to give him a skill set in order to observe what he's doing, yeah, and what he's not doing, and also a skill set in how to vocalize. I give him a new vocabulary, yeah, and the moment he understands that, there's a new set of tools he can use, yeah, observational and verbal ones, which he can communicate to himself and to me as the teacher, yeah, how he can, what he doesn't like, and then when he finds out how to describe in factual terms how to describe what ways he doesn't like, he'll find that within those descriptions actually the answers. It's generally they do the opposite things. Oh, my paint's too thick, well let's thin it down again. Oh, now my paint's too thin, well let's thicken it up again, but not as much as last time, you know. So in that example, you know, as teacher, I still need those skills and use those skills. You know, I can't get agitated with my students, so I can't criticise them, just assess them and then point them in the direction that best suits them. Quite like that. Cheers for that, Glenn. You inspired that out of me. Educo. To educate, draw out, or develop from within. That is a Latin word. That is what that is everything I've been going on about. Educo. A Latin word. To educate, to draw out or develop from within. Yeah, it doesn't mean put shit in, it means bring it out. So yeah, right, let's have a look at who's saying what here now. Yeah, analysis does sound better. Well, because it's straight to the point. You don't need the word critical. You don't need it. It sounds fancy, but it's just not needed. Okay, being at uni, critical has become a key word. It needs to unbecome a key word, I would say. Assuming everybody using it and hearing it, hear it without the stigma attached. Brother Captain Tom. Oh, I can't read the writing because I've worn the wrong colour shirt today. Right, let's have a look at that list. Because at the other end, you do see a lot of unhelpful praise online. I mean, praise is good. Praise is always helpful. It's encouraging, isn't it? You know, I'd never discourage praise. But you can always encourage more analysis. Try that. If you're getting lots of praise that is unhelpful, and then you could ask people for maybe a structural analysis of your paint job outside of their likes and dislikes. Most people struggle with that, by the way. And they mistake likes and dislikes. Oh, I think that's too white. Why? Oh, because I prefer mine gritty and real and dark. Unhelpful comment. Because, you know, unless a guy's paying you, you don't really cater for their desires, do you? You know. So, yeah, anyway. However, have a good night, man. I can't wait to see what you do with the non-met challenge. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it because you're having problems, you know, genuinely. You know, and if you can find an example of some of the problems you haven't had that to list, that'd be really good. Like really, really good, because you'll be helping people. You know, and although you might have gone down, I could just be talking to everybody else. I'm still going to carry on saying this just in case you watch this live stream later. But in posting all what you might consider failures, there'll be other people out there that go, hang on a minute, I've got that failure. Or, hang on a minute, that guy is, like, he's doing stuff I think I can handle. So maybe I should have a go. Because this is about getting everyone involved. There's no winners. It's not a painting competition. No one's getting anything out of it other than better. You know, so all those that think they can't do it or shouldn't do it or can't bear to reveal their ugliness in painting form are actually missing out on the chance to become beautiful froggies, you know, kissed by the advice of everybody and to blossom into beautiful princesses. I know all sounding weird, but whatever. Yeah. So yeah. Encouragement can always be more helpful for starters in the hobby or someone at the beginning of it. I mean, encouragement works for everybody. If somebody just paid you a compliment, how is that not going to make you feel better? At whatever level. At whatever level. Yeah. At whatever level. You know. But you know, it's all about individuals, isn't it? It is all about individuals. So yeah, there you go. I don't know if I'll post this on my YouTube channel. You know. Yeah, not quite. I don't feel I've articulated it as accurately, clearly, and entertainingly as I would like you guys to receive it. There you go. There's an assessment. It is a great exercise for you. How many people are in? I guess it's you, Glenn, and Mr. Captain Tom. Yeah, done. Right, here's an exercise for you. When assessing your work, use, where possible, and it's almost always possible, like the way I just did then, use single factual words. Words that can't be messed with. Yeah. So, if you're shading and you use the word deep, it's a bullshit word, the word deep. What you might mean is too dark or too rich. See what I mean? The word deep, it's an airy fairy word. So yeah, use single factual words. So like I said, I didn't think it was entertaining enough. I didn't think it was clear enough. I didn't think it was as concise. Yeah. And all those things are definitely true. While it may have been entertaining for some, I don't think I was as entertained by it. I say I don't think, but I wasn't as entertained by it. And generally, how much fun I'm having here in this situation is a direct indicator of how well I'm communicating my ideas. You know. Wow, loads of people just popped up. Minnie Milk, hello. Robert K, hello. And Julia. I was actually thinking about disappearing dudes, by the way, so unless anybody's got an interesting question for me, painting wise, yeah, get it in quick. Also, it's been a pretty quiet night tonight, like 3 people, 4 people. I think the most we had was maybe 6 at one point, you know, so it's quiet night tonight. Minnie Mark, hello. So yeah, I've got some bits to do tonight. I've got some typey bits. Ooh, some sleepy bits. And maybe, I don't know if I'll paint actually. We'll see. We shall see. Alright dudes, yeah, I'm out of here. I shall see you next week or at another point if I decide to do this at another point. So, enjoy. Whoa, hang on a minute. How do I get a candy red look on a model? Define candy red. That's your first one. And then look at colours that fit that definition. What do you think is candy apple red? I said candy apple. We would say toffee apple, I think, in this country. But that's not what you mean, though, is it? You don't mean the colour of a toffee apple, or do you? See what I mean? I'm already going into the analysis on what the words mean. What do you mean by candy apple? Sorry, what do you mean by... Yeah, candy red, sorry. This guitar, the colour of it is called candy apple red. Do you mean this red? Or this red? Or this red? Or that red? You know, take a screenshot. Take a screenshot now. And go and look through your collection for these colours. Darker colours at this end, the lighter colours at this end. There you go. Assuming you like this kind of red. I mean, look, even here, now it's pink. What do you mean by candy red? Yellow to orange to white. What do you mean by candy red? This, in the definition of guitar paint, in the most probably automotive paints, because they use the same stuff pretty much. That's your definition of candy red. So there you go. What is it? What would I use? You're asking me for a recipe now. Really is what you're asking me for. So again, what am I doing here? I'm making you think. I'm making you think. And what does making you think do? It helps you draw it out from within. It helps you develop you, as opposed to just bombard you with information. I could give you a recipe, and I could give you a method of applying it. But you could easily forget all of those things or use them poorly. In which case, where does that leave you? Back to developing yourself or giving up? I don't know if that makes an encouraging answer or not. On each project you're trying to expand the colours and techniques. Don't. I wouldn't say to expand any of it. I'd say get better at the ones you've got. The last live stream I did, I don't know, you were there. What was it about? The last live stream, what was it about? Simplicity and competence. So adding more is not what you want to do. Get better at the ones you've got, because they're probably good enough. The non-net challenge isn't about adding more. It's about realising that actually any old recipe will do. You know, I chose Mr. Latham's recipe because it was there and it wasn't mine. You know, not because it was expanding me repertoire, but just to help me develop something within myself, and that's the ability to adapt. You know, and weirdly, you know, it still looks like my style in on Mets. It doesn't look any different. You know, simplicity. Don't chip away. Don't add more. Just weighs you down, man. Chip away. And then, you know, like with colour schemes. Let's see, I hope you've taken that screenshot, by the way. 1,000 Suns on something. Hoping to get the look of Heresy 1,000 Suns on sunset. On something Necromunda. at the end of the day, there's limited amount of reds in the Games Workshop line. I use Games Workshop paints. There's like 3 reds. So you know which reds I'm going to use. Right? So the next question is, how am I going to use them? Well, let's look at the model, or the example. So let's look at the example then, actually. The guitar was the example. Did the paint job on the guitar look in any way rough? No. So will I use rough brush strokes? No. Did it look in any way thick? No, not really. So will I use thick paint? No. Do you see where I'm going with this? Did it look broad and smooth? Yeah. So when I apply brush strokes, will I use broad, smooth brush strokes? Yeah. See what I mean? Simplicity. Simplicity, that's how I think about it. And that goes back to earlier on, single factual words. Did it look rough? No. Okay, so will I use rough brush strokes? No, I won't. See what I mean? I get right down to the nitty gritty simple facts of it, and then it's all just dead obvious. Like literally just dumb it down. Dumb it down, like dumb, like just make it like ridiculously dumb, because that's the genius. Wow. It is as simple as that. It is as simple as that. It's not anything more complex than that. Unless you want it to be, but that's an option, not a necessity. You know, but like I said again last week, even the most complex paint jobs, whether they be on a canvas or whatever, you know, that guy who's doing that is only doing 1 brush stroke at a time. Even if he does that, it's still 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, you know. So, yeah. So, yeah, there you go. There you go. Wow, a load of you have just turned up. I was just about to leave as well, by the way, everybody. So I'll give you one more chance to engage me with an interesting question before I disappear. Get a cup of tea and carry on doing me a little bit of work and what have you. Oh, I'm tired. Excuse me. Who's in? Who has hung around? Chasing the demon. Good evening, Mr. Chasing the Demon. Let's see. Yeah, I like to start painting and be asked crazy questions about painting. Like, yeah, it is about making every brush stroke count and counting as many aspects as possible. How good are you at it? Because it'll show in your painting. It's the difference between a good painter and a shit painter, Glenn. It's not advanced techniques and beginner techniques. There's no such thing. There's just the techniques. You're either good at them or you're not good at them. End of story. You're either good at them or you're not good at them. Any beginner can glaze. Will he do it well or will he do it poorly? Depends. And it doesn't depend on whether he's a beginner or not. Could depend on whether he's been taught properly. Could depend on whether he knows how to go, hang on a minute. A glaze doesn't need loads and loads of puddles. A beginner can make that assessment. Being a beginner does not constitute a good or bad paint job. Being good at understanding information presented to you in simple and obvious terms. And that about really sums up the point I'm trying to make tonight. Being a beginner does not guarantee somebody's going to be shit at it. Not at all. And being experienced does not guarantee somebody's going to be amazing at it. At all. So what, in fact, there we go, right, you've got me on one now. So if being a beginner, or even just being an army painter, does not constitute whether your work is of poor quality or not, and being experienced or only painting single miniatures does not guarantee whether you're going to produce good results or not, then what counts? A beginner is just as likely to produce great results, assuming that guy's head is screwed on right. So it's not about learning more techniques and more colour schemes and getting more lessons and watching more vids. It's about looking at yourself and going, what am I missing about myself? And only you can spot them things. You know, now, as a teacher, and anybody, in fact, there's 0 of my students in this one, so I don't have them to fall back on. But I've already given you an example in this stream here. I've already given you an example, which is, if I have a student that doesn't have the vocabulary to describe in single factual words why his paint job is dislikable to himself, then I won't go, man, this guy is unteachable. I will start to help him discover that he has the tools within himself to assess his paint job in a simple fact-based manner, and within that assessment he will then find the answers. Yeah, and I will use that skill of assessment to assess him, and in that assessment he will go, oh wow, the way he did that was really interesting. You know, and any of my students, again, you have to find them tonight. Yeah, any of my students, I don't really give them any information. Sit there and I just grill them. I ask them questions about what they think and what they see, and I help them realise how full of shit they are. And then when all that shit is out, I go, right, what's left? And they go, this is left. And I go, right, off you go. And they fucking paint. It's pretty much like that. And I go, oh, is all this that you've got out now, is it all shit? And they go, yeah, it is. I go, right, okay, so what's left? Now, some of them can't really see what's left because it's so obvious, you know, and then I'll say, here's what's left, and they go, fuck yeah, it's that easy, you know. And again, you might notice I very rarely disclose what those things are publicly, because I keep it between me and my students, because it's their lessons, you know, as much. It's their lessons. It's to happen in a lesson. It's not to happen like this. It's to happen in a class, and that's really where it counts. If I was to put it out there, it would absolutely devalue the impact. So, you know, so Glyn, for example, you've expressed coming to me for lessons a lot, but you've never actually done it. And if I was to take you through some kind of faux lesson now, when you actually do come to me for a lesson, your learning will be compromised, and I won't do that to you. You know, you either come and commit and let's get down to the nitty gritty of it, because that's what I do. Find out how encumbered you've become by the internet, essentially, and let's remove all those encumbrance, and what's left will be the potential to be a great painter. And develop that idea in you of your mental faculties, which is, like I said, your will, your observation, or awareness, if you will, of yourself and your environment, or yourself and the model. So yeah, blah 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 blah. Right, let's see what people have said. Having passion for the model helps too. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Danny, where did you have a lesson with me? And did I give you that grilling? Because I don't know, if 6 years ago I might not have developed this teaching method, you know. So I'd be interested to know when and where the lesson was. It'd be really cool. So yeah, Mamacon, hello. Hope I'm doing brill. I am doing alright, you know, I've got to say. If I accepted my challenge and quickly paid the gold. Oh, nice one, man. Well excited. Hopefully just in this live stream there's you and one other. I'm gonna post something coming up soon. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. You know, I really want beginners and people who think they can't do it to be encouraged with this. You know, there's lots of experienced painters popping up and going, yeah, I'm gonna have a go at that. You know, whether it be to learn or whether it be because they think they can do better. You know, and blah blah blah. You know, whatever the reasons. You know, I think everybody in some way is experimenting and taking a risk. I know when I started it, it was a risk. I was pretty nervous seeing there's nobody watching me. I was actually quaking a little bit because it's not how good you think you are or how capable you think you are. There's still that what if. It was for me anyway, and I just wonder if it was the same for all the other people. You know, what if, can I actually do this? You know, so I wonder if it's the same for you. But the beginners, they got to realise that it's a great opportunity for them to learn from the people that can do it, to learn from the people that can't do it, because you'll see their mistakes. You'll also see the feedback they get from other people, and then hopefully then using your own awareness and adjustments, you'll be able to develop yourself. So yeah. Blessed night. How's it going, Lee? You alright? Fan of board games. Hello. I'm still trying to get out of it. It's twice now I've said I'm going. Try to get another drink and crack on with some other work and go to bed because I'm pretty tired. So yeah, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to get another question in before I bow out for the evening. I'll give you another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0. Right, dudes, enjoy. Have a good night. Lee, have a good night, and I'll see you soon. Or roughly about this time. Sometimes it's actually a lot earlier. On a Sunday, I do these live streams. So if you want to come and join in, yeah, please do so, man. Please do so. So yeah. Anyway, have fun. Enjoy, and I'll see you all later. Charge my phone as well, it's running out of battery. Right, in a bit.